You're listening to Tyfm, and I'm here with Simon Fisher-Becker. How are you doing?
I'm tickety-boo. It's been a fantastic time. We're here at the Auckland Armageddon. Yesterday, 25,000 people. I couldn't move. Today is a little quieter, but I think gradually, as the day goes on, we're going to get more and more, so it could be another 25,000. God. Yeah. So, how are things with you?
They're great, and this is my second day here, and yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
I've just received your text to say that you're heading here. And for those listening, I sent a text to Tylor to say, I'll meet you in the green room. And we actually met up about 20 minutes ago now. And I've just had the text come through to say, I'm heading there. The wonders of modern technology, eh?
You got all my other texts straight away, didn't you?
More or less. So it all depends where you are in the building, I suppose. But it is very fun. I've noticed this. Texts aren't wholly reliable on timing. Because I have had some texts arrive a day late, which is a bit worrying when somebody says, quick, come along, I need to speak to you. Yeah. Where are you? You were in this meeting 2 hours ago. Yeah. So, but yes, that's modern technology. It's the same as emails don't always get to people, do they? And tweets can go astray as well. So you have to be careful what you're doing or saying, because it could go to the wrong person. That won't do at all.
Especially with if you tweet off your phone, because you can text and tweet, but with Twitter, you can only do a certain amount of characters, but with a text you can do whatever, and it doesn't tell you, like Twitter, that's enough. So if you send a whole bunch of stuff into Twitter, it sometimes only gets certain sentences, and then it doesn't really work out.
But also, I've also received emails that it starts off perfectly fine, and then the next paragraph, it's all come out in gobbledygooky Sanskrit type writing, and you think, well, what's happened there? The first paragraph was all right. Why can't it read the second? It probably has a turn, like we all do. Yeah.
Like just the text I got from you yesterday, it actually came up right at the bottom. It said some text missing. And then I was like, oh. And then I looked back at it again later, and then some more came through on it. But then it had a ... at the end. Did you put that ... or did it just come through like that?
I can't remember what text it was. What was it actually saying? Can you remember?
It was the one right at the end of the day. But
I was saying, sorry I missed you, because it was a bit rushed at the end of the day. Always is at these conventions. We're all working away, and then suddenly they'll say, oh, the bus is here, we've got to get you back to the hotel, and then it's bundle, and you don't get an opportunity to say goodbye to whoever you were planning to talk to or whatever, and that's what happened with you and Luke yesterday. So that's what that was, sorry, But I can't remember exactly what I sent you, to be honest, unless it's already in my phone. But is this in... Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm checking a text I sent yesterday. This riveting interview here. I can't remember.
I remember at the end it had ... Some... Yeah. And it came up with some text missing, which was weird. But, yeah.
Oh, I put 3 dots after my name.
Oh.
Why I did that, I have no... Maybe I hadn't had enough gin and I was still shaking. But, yeah. Yes. Apologies for the rush at the end of the day. Please apologise to Luke too. And to say my panel is Monday at 1 o'clock on stage 2. And I will contact you regarding about more interviews, Simon. That's all it said. And why I put ... I had no idea. I was probably in some, I don't know, I won't say, very tired, because these things are wonderful, but speaking to everybody all day long can be very tiring. I used to, when I was younger, I used to hear and read interviews with people saying, meeting the public is lovely, but it's tiring. And I used to think, you've only got to talk to them, what's the problem? And now I'm doing it, I can perfectly understand. Because you're sort of on all day, and you're having to also show interest in people, listen to what they're saying so that you can have a proper conversation, rather than just answering a question. So there you go. Next question.
So how many people do you think you actually saw yesterday and signed for?
Well, we had a Doctor Who panel, so there were 4 of us. There was Dan Starkey, Catherine Stewart, Ian McNeice and myself. And we were in this huge auditorium, and we're told it was about 2,000 people were actually at our panel, which is extraordinary. As for signings, I suppose I must have done a couple of hundred. Really, it's difficult to tell, because the queues come, and then they go, and then more come, and then they go, and then others come. So, yeah, a couple of hundred, that keeps me busy. So... it beats working for a living. That's all I can say. Yeah. So, but meeting everybody was absolutely delightful. Met a couple of twins, which got a bit confusing. Got to talk to some children who were very chatty, and seemed to know a lot about not only Doctor Who but me, which was quite confusing, but delightful at the same time. Taking lots of photos. It was very busy, and it was completely mad yesterday. Completely mad. When I arrived, I was sort of going against the flow of the traffic, as if it were, and so there were all these people coming towards me, and I was having to push forward into them. I felt as if I'd landed in a scene from Dr. Zhivago, and so it was very strange, but it was lovely, absolutely delightful, and we've been looked after very well. So thank you to the organisers here.
And a funny thing happened earlier before the interview when someone came in and we didn't know who they were. How many people here, the celebrities, that you don't know?
Well, when you do these conventions, you don't always know everybody, because some of them have got their fame in areas that you're not involved with or you've never come across. And there's quite a number of voiceover artists here, for example, who, for those who enjoy animation, will know exactly who they are. But they're not instantly recognisable. And there was a chap here. We thought we knew him, but it turns out he's a writer. So, and of course that's the shame. You see, us actors, we forget without the writers, we'd have nothing to say. We'd be mute. So we should really respect the writers, so perhaps we should pay attention and try and meet them all a bit more, so we know exactly who they are. So, but I've not. His name was Brian, wasn't it? So I've not met him before. So it was a delight, and hopefully I'll meet him again and get to know more.
That was quite funny. We were looking through the thing, looking at all the photos of people going, which one does he look like? Which one is he?
Oh, it is embarrassing. It is but then on the other side of the coin, there are some people here like Barry Bostwick that I'm quite nervous to meet him, so that's why I've been a bit shy about approaching him yet. So you get to meet your own heroes as well. So it's all good. But once we've met each other, it's absolutely fine. And you start to bond, and on the circuit you become sort of friends. And although you may not speak to see each other or see each other outside convention, when we're at the conventions, it's like a club, and you go, oh, hello, how are you? And you sort of catch up. And the club, we meet at different places around the world. It's most bizarre.
And we are here in the green room, which coincidentally isn't green, but it's called the green room. What do you think of the green room?
Well, it's very cosy, but it's a bit tight considering the number of us are here. But do you know why it's called the green room?
No idea.
It goes back to the convention when theatre first started. Theatre started really in religious places, churches. And so all the actors would congregate and do their dressing on the grass outside the church, and the grass generally was green, so it would be on the green area. So when they started building theatres and studios, they created a space that had the same job, but they called it the green room instead. But as you pointed out, this room is rather beige. But the beige room doesn't quite have the same ring to it, does it? But that's my understanding. Somebody else will say, oh, no, that's all a myth. But that's my understanding of how the green room came about. And it makes sense, really. Yeah.
So, what are your perks while you're here and not doing signings or doing photos or panels? What are the perks that you get, being VIP as a celebrity here?
Well, the perks is a strange thing. I mean, we're looked after very well in the green room, and you'll see they provide us with lovely nosh. So we're never got an empty belly. But what I like doing is then sort of going, when I'm not actually doing a panel or anything, is to actually go around the convention, see the different stall holders and see what else is going on, so that I'm just not sort of focused on myself all the time. And because my character is blue and bald, very few people recognise me. The Doctor Who fans will recognise me, but other people don't. So I can roam around relatively unmolested. So it's good. But what other perks would you, when you say perks, what were you thinking of?
Anything, really.
No, I mean, the perk is that we're invited to come to do the job, and we're paid to sit and talk all day about ourselves.
But you get free food and all that.
Free food, we get transport, we are looked after, we get our accommodation is paid for, our travel is paid for, we get minibuses or taxis to and from the hotel to the venue.
I thought you'd get limos.
Oh, no. No. Only people in America demand limos. No. You turn up in a Mini, that's what I say. Yeah. No, you only need comfortable transport. You don't need a limo. Why on earth? Can you imagine me and Ian McNeice trying to get out of a limo?
That would actually look quite funny.
I mean, it just wouldn't happen, would it? We'd have to roll out. You know? Oh dear, no. I mean, there's quite, actually, on a more serious note, there are some vehicles which are difficult to get into. You know, low vehicles can be as much difficulty as high vehicles, and in America in particular, even their cabs have got high steps to get up onto. And so I always say that it feels like I'm mountain climbing to get into it and parachuting to get out. So they have to, because sometimes I think to myself, they should have little steps that unfold so people can get on and off their vehicle easily. But no, it's absolutely fine. You know, I'm not fussed about what vehicle I travel in as long as it works. I don't fancy the idea of having to head towards a venue and the thing conks out. No. So, no. Plus, the beauty of that is that you're totally relying on the driver. So if there's a delay in any kind, then you don't have to fret because it's not your fault, and you'll get to wherever, whenever, you know, as long as people keep in contact and communicate. When people don't know what's going on, the stresses start. Yeah.
Do all the celebrities travel together, or are you all in separate vehicles?
Well, we've been bundled into what they call shuttles, which is a sort of minibuses, really. So, and one or two stragglers then get chucked into a cab. So if they've had a lie-in, they'll probably get a taxi. But no, it's all right, and it's all part of keeping us together as a team, as if it were, and it helps build the camaraderie. And we have good laughs and chats. So yeah, we are a team, and we're all here for similar, if not necessarily the same reason. So it's good to hear other people's stories and their adventures, and it's also good to hear from your colleagues that they're having the same experiences as you, because sometimes you think things are a bit odd and you think, oh, did I do that right? Did I do that wrong? Wonder why that happened. And then later on you have a similar conversation with something and exactly the same thing happens. So you've got peace of mind, you're sharing your experiences, which really helps make it all such fun.
Yesterday at the panel, what are some questions that you thought were interesting that got asked?
What was there? There was. It was interesting that we were asked what other characters in Doctor Who would we like to play, other than our own, and also we were asked to do some sort of sign. This awesome sign. What was it all about? Did you know what that is all about?
No idea.
So, you know, I mean, most of the questions were delightful, and to be honest, I can't remember half of them now. Because you're too busy focusing on the moment at the time that you can't remember afterwards. It's like I got to have a conversation. There's a newsreader. She's retired now, but her name was Moira Stewart for the BBC, and she said that she could never remember what she read on the news. Yeah, and you're talking to her about an hour after she did it. And so I don't know. What was in the news then, Moira? I've got no idea. I know, it does happen. But it was really lovely. I was just really amazed at the sheer numbers. I mean, normally our panels are well attended, and in Melbourne we had 600, but we had nearly 2,000 yesterday. So that was extraordinary. You know. And I understand this is one of the largest venues in Auckland, and the numbers of people that are coming to these things now is increasing every year. So if this is the largest, what's going to happen? You're going to have to write a petition to the Parliament and say we need an extension or need an even bigger arena. And perhaps you'll go and do it in the arena where they do the rugby and the cricket. What's that arena called?
No idea.
But you're from New Zealand. Yeah, where the All Blacks play. What's it called, do you know? It's called a stadium.
Yeah, I don't know anything about any sports or anything. I did one time interview some All Blacks, and because I don't know anything about rugby, one question I asked one of them was, how did you get the number on your back? Did you just pick your favourite number, not knowing that that was actually their position? And the guy looked at me like, what?
Yes, that's where research is very important with these things. I love it. Yeah. I used to play rugby in the UK. I was a hooker. So nothing's changed. Because I sell my art to pay the mortgage now. So there you go. So, any other questions for you?
When you do go out there and just look around, what booths attract your interest?
I like to try and have a look at booths that I've got no knowledge of, to try and acquire more knowledge. So I've got something else to talk about to other fans that are not Doctor Who fans, because I have to accept not everybody's a Doctor Who fan, and not everybody likes Doctor Who, but they're very strange. But no, I go to all sorts of stands. I'm intrigued. The whole thing of this convention thing is there's a whole industry that feeds the conventions. So you've got the cosplayers, so you've got industries that make the costumes, or make bits and pieces that people can then buy to create their own costume. So if the conventions all collapse and there were no more, unemployment would soar. Absolutely. It's absolutely fascinating. And it's also very interesting to see what other things intrigue other people. You know, it's a bit like, you know, are you a cat person or are you a dog person, sort of thing. So why do they like Star Trek but they don't like Babylon 5? Or you know, so they don't like Doctor Who, but they quite like Stargate, and yet they're both to do with travel and time and all that sort of thing as well. So it's very interesting to see.
So what are you, a dog person or a cat person?
Well, actually, I'm both. When I was a kid, the family we had a whole zoo. We had dogs, cats, gerbils, tortoises, rabbits. You know, guinea pigs. It was great. I think I am more of a dog person, but a cat is much more convenient because they fend for themselves. And the downside of a cat, of course, is you become their slave. But generally speaking, as long as you feed and water them and make sure they've got a warm place to go to when it's cold, they look after themselves. They're no problem. But I like pets generally, and I like the idea that I'm sort of reading, you know, reading the scripts or whatever, and I sense that there's another creature roaming around the house. I like it.
And what's your favourite animal?
Tiger. Yeah, I think they're beautiful. I think they're majestic. But I also like penguins because they're just so odd. Absolutely marvellous. Yeah, but tigers, yeah, the big animals I just love. I like going around zoos and seeing giraffes and things. I would like to go on a safari and actually see them in their natural habitat. But I like all animals, really, even the ugly ones, and even the scary ones, you know. And I'm very much, I wouldn't call myself an eco-warrior, but I absolutely believe totally that all animals on the planet, it's all mixed and matched together, and if you lose one, then it affects the whole of the planet. So we got to be careful. You know, I'm not going to beat the ecology drum, but I think we do have to be careful of the planet that we're living on. Because, if we damage it, it might not repair itself. Where do we go then?
I heard some people say if bees go extinct, then we can't survive because they pollinate everything.
Yeah, it's the phrase, the birds and the bees, and the birds and the bees travel around from plant to plant, and in doing so, they actually help to fertilise new crops. So yes, so the answer is, if you haven't got bees to do that task, how are you going to do it? I mean, you could try and do it. What you need is a replicator, as in Star Trek. But even then, you won't have a natural product. You'll have a sort of created product, which in turn will affect the quality of the food that you're consuming.
I think I heard somewhere that some people cloned a sheep, I think.
Yes, that was in Scotland, Dolly the sheep. I'm not quite sure the purpose of the cloning. Somebody will have to explain it to me properly. Unless it's that they want a certain quality of meat, or more worryingly, they're intending to do it ultimately for harvesting. Because, we read stories in the future that people will be born purely to be replacement hearts, replacement eyes, replacement kidneys, replacement livers, which is quite a disturbing idea. But you can see that that's going to happen after a while. Because I think it's very sad that we have a beautiful planet and yet not everybody can get fed. And we've got to ask why. Is that because it's economically generated, the poverty? Or is it genuinely that there's no food? I don't know. Sometimes I think in the 21st century it should be very easy for everybody to have a reasonable, basic amount of food, running water, so that things are healthy, and reasonable accommodation. Now, some people say, you're a socialist, you're a communist. No, I'm not. I'm a humanist. It's not right that people are living in the sort of conditions they are in Africa. And it's got nothing to do with money, other than the monies that have been handed to these countries in the past has just gone to the pockets of a few. So you'll find now some countries, China's doing it a lot now, and that they won't give money to Africa, but they will say, we will come and build you a road, which is the best way. And we have Comic Relief, which is a charity organisation in the UK that specialises in providing water pumps and things for villages in Africa, so they've got proper, clean, healthy water. Anyway, that sounds too serious and too political, but that's my viewpoint. In this 21st century, it shouldn't happen, and you have to blame the politicians to some extent, and the diplomats. They're failing at their job. Sack them. Yeah. Anyway, anything comedy you want to talk about?
I don't know. Anything you want to talk about?
No, I think I've said enough, don't you? Everybody's fallen asleep now. No, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself here in Auckland, and I very much hope to come back to New Zealand again very soon. And I want to thank everybody for their hospitality, the friendliness. I want to thank all the fans that come up and say hello. And here's to the future.